The biggest hurdle in Neville Goddard's teachings is imagining your desired. Staying faithful to that imagination when your current reality screams the opposite. We're wired to trust our five senses. But what happens when you assume a new reality and nothing changes on the outside? You might feel like you've failed, but it's not the law that failed. It's your persistence. Persistence isn't about fighting or forcing it. It's a gentle, firm choice to return to your wish fulfilled, no matter what. Your imagination is the true, current reality, and the physical world is just a delayed echo of your past thoughts. To persist is to give your inner vision more power than the external world. In this video, we'll dive into the 11 pillars of the persistence hack. This framework will help you build an unshakable inner fortress, making you immune to doubt. A no from the 3D world won't discourage you, it will actually fuel your manifestation. To persist effectively, you must first understand the mechanical nature of the 3D world. What you see around you today is not the present in a spiritual sense. It is a collection of shadows cast by your past assumptions. It is exactly like the light from a distant star that takes years to reach your eyes. By the time you see the light, the star may have already changed or moved. Therefore, reacting to the 3D world as if it were the ultimate truth is like trying to drive a car by looking only at the rearview mirror. When the 3D says no through a rejected application, a cold text, or an empty bank account, it is merely playing back a record of who you were weeks or months ago. It has no power to dictate who you are becoming in this moment unless you give it that power through your reaction. If you react with fear or disappointment, you are simply reseeding the same old state of lack, ensuring that the mirror continues to reflect the same image tomorrow. This is the loop of frustration that keeps most people trapped in a cycle of unwanted circumstances. The hack is to treat the 3D world as a dead reflection. When a contradiction arises, recognize it as a ghost of your former self. You do not argue with a ghost, and you do not let it tell you what is real. You simply observe it with the detached curiosity of a scientist, knowing that its momentum is already dying because you have stopped feeding it with your current awareness. This shift in perspective allows you to remain calm and centered, while the old world fades away to make room for the new. Most people treat persistence as a chore, something they have to do until they get what they want. They white-knuckled their way through the day, trying to force themselves to believe something they feel is a lie. This form of persistence is rooted in the ego, and is almost always doomed to fail because it is based on the idea of separation. If you are trying to persist, you are affirming that you are not yet in the state. True persistence is not an action you perform. It is the natural quality of the state you have assumed. Think of a person who is already wealthy. They do not have to persist in the thought of being wealthy. They simply are. Their thoughts, feelings, and reactions naturally align with the concept of wealth. If they lose a few dollars, it does not shake their self-concepts because they are rooted in the consciousness of abundance. Your goal is to reach this same level of naturalness with your desire. You persist not to get the thing, but because you have already become the version of yourself for whom the desire is a settled fact. To implement this hack, stop asking, am I persisting correctly? And start asking, how would I feel if I were already there? When you occupy the feeling of the wish fulfilled, persistence becomes effortless. It is no longer a battle against the 3D, but a comfortable resting place for your consciousness. If you find yourself struggling, it is a sign that you have moved out of the state and back into the role of the seeker. Return to the feeling of being, and the persistence will take care of itself. The physical world is not a living, conscious entity that can decide to withhold your desires. It is a mindless mechanism, a giant projector that is forced to play the film you have placed in your imagination. It cannot say no to you any more than a mirror can say no to the person standing in front of it. The only way the world can seem to deny you is if you are projecting a film of denial. Understanding this mechanical certainty removes the emotional sting from external events. When you see a contradiction in your 3D world, remind yourself that the projector is simply finishing the old reel of film. It is a mathematical certainty that if you stay in your current assumption, the screen must eventually change. There is no possibility of failure if the internal cause is maintained. The 3D world does not have a vote in your success. It only has a duty to reflect your consciousness. When you realize this, you stop pleading with the shadows and start focusing entirely on the light of your own I am. This hack requires you to become a master of the booth. You must be more interested in the film you're running in your imagination than in the images appearing on the screen. If the screen shows a scene you like, You do not try to fix the screen with your hands. You go back to the booth and ensure the film is correct. This detachment from the how and when of the physical world is the secret to an unshakable persistence. The mechanism is perfect. Your only job is to be faithful to the blueprint. To stay in the state when the world is chaotic, you must build what Neville called a mental sanctuary or an imaginal fortress. This is a space within your consciousness where the 3D world is not allowed to enter. It is a place where your desire is not just a hope, but an established, solid reality. If you do not have this internal fortress, every minor inconvenience in the physical world will pull you out of your state and leave you feeling vulnerable and lost. Building this fortress involves a daily practice of sensory immersion. You must spend time every day, especially during the state akin to sleep, making your internal vision more real to you than the world outside. Hear the voices of people congratulating you. Feel the texture of the objects in your desired reality, and smell the atmosphere of your success. When these imaginal perceptions become vivid and stable, they form a protective layer around your consciousness. You begin to carry this internal reality with you as you walk through your day. The hack here is to realize that you can dwell in your fortress even while your body is performing tasks in the 3D world. You may be at a job you dislike, but internally, you are sitting in your new office. You may be walking alone, but internally, you are holding the hand of your beloved. This dual awareness allows you to interact with the world of Caesar without being influenced by it. Your fortress is your true home. The 3D world is just a temporary construction site you are passing through. One of the most powerful hacks for persistence is the radical act of ignoring. Neville often spoke of the need to be blind and deaf to the evidence of the senses. This is not about being irresponsible or delusional. It is about refusing to give the status of truth to anything that contradicts your divine decree. If the 3D says you are broke, and you accept that as the ultimate truth, you are worshiping a false god. To ignore the 3D is to affirm that your imagination is the only real power. Ignoring requires a disciplined withdrawal of your attention. Attention is the life force of your consciousness. Whatever you give your attention to, you nourish and expand. When you focus on a problem, you are literally feeding it with your own energy. By choosing to look away not in fear, but in boredom, you starve the old state of its power. You must learn to look at a negative bank balance or a difficult situation and say, "This is not my reality. This is a shadow that is passing away." This sacred act of ignoring is what allows the seed of your manifestation to grow undisturbed. If you are constantly checking the soil to see if the seed has sprouted, you are interfering with the process. You must trust the unseen work of the subconscious mind. When you ignore the 3D, you are proving your faith in the law. You are demonstrating that you do not need physical proof to know that your word is law. This silence and stillness in the face of contradiction is the hallmark of a master. Persistence is not about being perfect and never having a doubt. Even the most advanced students will have moments where the 3D world triggers a reaction of fear or lack. The difference between a master and a beginner is the speed of the return. When a beginner feels a doubt, they spiral into guilt and worry, thinking they have ruined their manifestation. The master simply notices the doubt, acknowledges the trigger, and immediately returns to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The hack is the immediate return protocol. Do not waste time analyzing your doubts or trying to fix your negative thoughts. Analysis only gives the doubt more of your attention. Instead, the moment you realize you have stepped out of your state, take a deep breath and mentally state, "Thank you, but I know who I am." Then, immediately perform a 5-second imaginal loop that implies your desire is already a fact. This snaps your consciousness back into the correct frequency before the doubt can take root. Think of your state of being like a radio station. If you accidentally bump the dial and hear static, you don't spend an hour wondering why the static is there or feeling bad for bumping the dial. You simply turn the dial back to the music. The music is always playing. You just have to stay tuned in. The faster you return to your state after a contradiction, the less power the contradiction has over your life. Persistence is simply the habit of returning home again and again until you never leave. Have you ever set a powerful intention, felt the thrill of its potential reality, only to have your faith waver as days turn into weeks with no sign of change? This is a common hurdle on the path of manifestation. Today, we delve deep into the wisdom of Neville Goddard to uncover 5 powerful persistence hacks. These aren't just techniques. They are profound shifts in consciousness that will help you hold steadfast to your desired reality until it hardens into fact. Our first and most foundational hack is assuming the state. This is the very bedrock of Neville's teachings. It means to live mentally and emotionally from the end, from the wish fulfilled. Persistence here isn't about repeating affirmations until you're blue in the face. It's about embodying the feeling of the person who already has what you desire. How would you walk, talk, and think if your dream were your current reality? You wouldn't be hoping for it. You would be living from it. This requires a radical shift. When doubt arises, you don't fight it. You simply return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Ask yourself throughout the day, what would the feeling be like if it were true? Then, immerse yourself in that feeling. This isn't a one-time act. It's a continuous state of being you consciously choose to inhabit. The moment you drop the feeling, you've stepped off the path. The key to persistence is to make the state of the wish fulfilled your new home, your new default emotional state. Next, we explore the concept of the bridge of incidence. This is where many people lose faith. They have a specific idea of how their desire should manifest, and when it doesn't happen that way, they assume the process has failed. But the creative power of the universe is infinitely more imaginative than our limited human minds. Once you've successfully assumed the state of the wish fulfilled, your role is to trust that a sequence of seemingly natural events will unfold to bring it into your physical world. This sequence is the bridge of incidence. It might involve unexpected phone calls, chance meetings, or sudden ideas. It could even involve events that initially seem negative or unrelated. Your job is not to question, analyze, or resist these events. Your job is to persist in the assumption, knowing that each incident, whether you understand it or not, is a necessary step on the bridge leading you to your destination. True persistence is walking this bridge with unwavering faith, even when you can't see the other side. You trust the process because you trust the end is already a fact in consciousness. Our third hack is a powerful internal battle. The old man versus the new man. The old man represents your current and past self, conditioned by limitations, doubts, and the evidence of your senses. The new man is the self you are creating in imagination, the one who is living in the state of the wish fulfilled. When you decide to manifest something new, these two identities go to war within you. The old man will scream at you with logic, past failures, and external evidence. He will tell you it's impossible, that you're being foolish. Persistence is the act of consciously and repeatedly choosing the new man. It is about starving the old man of your attention and feeding the new man with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Every time a doubt or old thought pattern emerges, you recognize it as the voice of the old man and you gently, but firmly, turn your attention back to the reality of the new man. This isn't about suppression. It's about selection. You are selecting the reality you wish to experience. Persistence means consistently siding with the new man until his voice becomes the dominant one, and the old man fades into silence. This is the daily, moment-to-moment work of transformation. This leads us beautifully into our fourth hack, mental alchemy. True alchemists weren't just trying to turn lead into gold. They were symbolizing a deeper spiritual process to transformation of consciousness. In the context of persistence, mental alchemy is the art of taking any negative thought, feeling, or circumstance lead, and transmuting it into the gold of your fulfilled desire. Let's say you're manifesting wealth, and an unexpected bill arrives. The unpracticed mind, the old man, reacts with fear and lack. But the mental alchemist sees this differently. They might say, "Thank you for showing me what I no longer choose. This bill is proof that my old reality is dissolving, making way for my new reality of abundance." You take the energy of the negative event and you reinterpret it through the lens of the wish fulfilled. Every doubt becomes an opportunity to affirm your faith. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone on your bridge of incidence. Persistence, through mental alchemy, is an active, creative process. You don't just endure negativity. You use its raw energy to fuel the fire of your assumption, transforming every challenge into a confirmation of your inevitable success. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and most sublime hack, the Sabbath. In a spiritual sense, the Sabbath is not just a day of the week. It's a state of consciousness. It is a state of rest, of utter stillness and conviction that comes after the creative act is finished. After you have successfully and vividly imagined your desire, after you have truly felt the reality of the wish fulfilled, you enter the Sabbath. In this state, there is no more striving, No more anxious effort, and no more need to constantly do the techniques. You simply know that it is done. Persistence in the Sabbath is effortless. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence. You walk in the calm assurance that what you have created in imagination will inevitably appear in your world, in its own perfect timing. If anxiety or doubt tries to pull you out of this state, you don't panic. You gently remind yourself, it is finished, and you return to that feeling of quiet knowing. The ultimate act of persistence is to be able to rest in the conviction that the work is complete. You have planted the seed, and you trust the law of growth. You no longer dig it up to see if it's sprouting. You simply rest, and you wait for the harvest that you know is coming. So, to persist like a master, you must learn to live from the end. Trust the unfolding bridge of events. Consciously choose your new self over the old. Transmute every challenge into fuel, and ultimately, rest in the quiet confidence that it is already done. This is the path of conscious creation. It requires discipline, but the reward is nothing less than the life you have imagined. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of Neville's teachings. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the power of your own wonderful human imagination. Persist in your beautiful assumptions.